compare that to Boston, 1 out of 4, or you compare it to New York, 1 out of 3. Like it's not even close. So you have people that are just ignorant, and I don't mean ignorant like disrespectfully. I just mean in the literal sense of the word, they just do not know, and they can't be held against that.
Yeah, I would say like ignorant, but also like they're not open minded. Like for me, like I'm going to school for my second master's, and I was raised in a household where anything that you do. You chase it, you do it, but never forget education. Like education, you don't have to just necessarily like going to college and things like that. I mean, I always tell people to go. I advise them, but like if you want to pick up a trade, even with me, I said after I'm done with this MBA, I want to get some certificates, under my belt. Like not just to get it, but also to learn. You want to always have that mindset of learning like new things. Like you don't have to just learn stuff within your career. Try to learn stuff outside of your career, because for me, I have no choice but to learn different things. In the career path that I want to get into, as far as like marketing agency and also a sports and entertainment agency. Even with the podcast, I'm learning new stuff from everybody that come in. Even from yourself. Especially when it comes to the art. So it's just like, as a city, we have to just be more open-minded. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's getting better little by little, but it needs to, improve even more,
That's why I stay. A lot of cats that you meet in Miami, if they're born and raised here, there's 2 categories. I mean, obviously, some outliers, but either you love the city, and you'll shit talk it or whatever, but you love the city, you're not going anywhere. You're going to die in South Beach type of shit. Or you're like, fuck that place, I'm never going back. And especially cats who have the benefit of being able to get an education, generally I find them going into that latter route. They say, you know what, I got my degree, I'm going to Philly, I'm going to New York, I'm going to DC, I'm going to Atlanta. Miami's too backwards. There's no reason for me to be there anymore. I'm going to go make my bread somewhere else. And it's a real shame because, like we're saying, Miami has a world of opportunity. The weather's fantastic. There's so much money coming from Latin America. I mean, people don't even know what to do with it. So individuals like ourselves who are willing to capitalize on that momentum and seize the opportunities to broaden our horizons, I mean, better for us, but I would honestly like to see as many cats get uplifted as well. Yeah. And that's why I'm a big proponent of saying, come through, do an apprenticeship, slide through, do an internship. Any way I can help facilitate your knowledge, I will do that. But it's on you, and it behooves you to take that initiative and do it for yourself. So YouTube, all these other things, we just started to have that as we were coming up.
Yeah.
And it opened up the horizons, but at the same time, a lot of what I learned was just showing up and meeting cats who had been doing it longer than me, and they were willing to take me on because that is the culture that hip-hop has always embodied. Mentorship. It's a pecking order. It's a little archaic in that sense, but you got to pay your dues and you got to learn from somebody else. And if you fuck around and you bite people's shit and you're just a toy, then that's how you're going to be relegated for the rest of your life. But if you stick around long enough, even if your style's whack and no one even fucks with how you paint, you stick around long enough, you show up to all of the events, showing up is 90% of it, you get accepted into the scene and you're part of it. And your contribution is just as valid as someone who's a multi-million-dollar artist.
Exactly. So you said that you got into graffiti first. And you did a lot of tagging. So what happened after that experience?
Well, I had the misfortune of learning early on that the legal ramifications of going out and painting can be too hefty. So I was just lucky enough to get linked up with Crave over here at El Fresco, Crave Art. And he said, you can paint these walls inside and you can paint these walls for people that will encourage you to do it, that will be happy to have it, and they might even pay you a little bit of money. So I've always been a kind of cat that if it makes money, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've always been hustling. As soon as I turned 14, I was a bag boy at Publix. As soon as I could hold a job, I've never not worked. That's just, and now I'm self-employed, so the hustle is you kill what you eat. So another big mentor of mine, Brimstone127, he's the founder of Path to Hip Hop. He really also pushed me and invited me to some of my first gigs. And he just showed me that there was a way to do it, and once I got bit by the bug, that was it. So that's pretty much why I continue doing the legal route versus still bombing. A lot of my homies still bomb. They still go out every night, and I have, nothing but respect for them, and I wish them the best, but there's only so far that'll take you. I mean, there's some lifers out there. You meet some cats who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, old enough to be our dad or even our granddads, and they're still painting.
Yeah.
And that's cool, but you can't pay the bills and you can't feed your kids off of, tickets and court appearances.
It's always about progression and just learning.
Exactly.
So, it's like you said, like people still, like for example, like me as a DJ, right? I've been DJing since I was 15 years old. To this day, I'm still looked at as a DJ, but for me, I look myself as more of a businessman, and I still want to create music as far as like mixtapes, because that's what I came in that era, with drama and all them. I came in that time where I wanted to be a DJ because of the mixtapes, and I thought as I got older, but I kept telling myself is that I don't want to DJ forever. I want to start being a producer as far as like help producing like albums and like manage artists. I always had that mindset like I want to just help someone mold them. I feel like for me that's always been like a fun thing to do, and also I would say like a blessing just to mold someone or something and just see it blossom, and see all the benefits from it, because, I tell like all these up and coming, managers and agents and PRs and stuff like that, I tell them like, it's not about the money. The money gonna come. There's a lot of money behind, especially being someone behind the scenes, but the beauty is to see your work or see a client that you work with just grow. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to grow with them. The more they grow, the more money, meaning the more clients that's going to come in, and the more that, you're going to see the evolution. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. So you've been to college, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to undergraduate in upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Bachelor of Arts, and technically I guess it's fine art is the degree.
Yeah.
But I mean, man...
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, going on college and how you're saying you're an advocate for it.
Yeah.
Every time I came back when I was in college and chilled with my homies. It was unfortunate to see that a lot of them were stuck in the same old ways. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them were like, damn, I did not realize how fun college is. That's like 90% of it is legit just like being out on your own, meeting new people, having fun experiences. Obviously, we can't delve on air how fun it can be, but I mean, you get to learn literally whatever you want because nobody cares. That's the other thing is that as long as you go, all anyone sees of you if you went to college is like, all right, that person is dedicated enough that throughout everything on the sideline that happens in college, they still finished. Mm-hmm. That's all it says. It's just like, you showed up, you're a hard worker. If I hire you, you're not going to quit in a week because you got your degree, and not everyone gets a degree. But, that's why I did art, because it's like, no one's going to ask me afterwards what my degree is. If I got to get a job, if I go and get a law degree, if I go and get an MBA, it doesn't matter what the prerequisite is. Unless you're going to be a doctor, an engineer, have fun. Study creative writing, study history, philosophy. Most importantly, just don't take out loans. Mm-hmm. As people don't realize, we have great, especially Miami, we have great community college, the best community college in the country, Miami-Dade. Mm-hmm. Do 2 years there for a few stacks. Boom, you could transfer to Harvard. Yeah. You could go anywhere. And when you get to Harvard, anyone will give you a loan because the likelihood that you'll pay it off is pretty high. Mm-hmm. So I'm always a big advocate of public school.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Broward College my first 2 years. Then I went to FIU. Then I got my first master's, my MS from St. Thomas. And then now I'm at Nova. And I see the difference, I mean, I've been in private school my whole life, like from 4th grade to high school. So I already know what it is. But I always tell people, like, if you get loans like myself, like, with me, like, we all, like, I owe people, at the end of the day, but I always had a plan where when whatever that I do, it generates a lot of money. I'm talking about a lot of money. Like, the first thing I want to do is pay off my loans, pay off anything, so that one my credit score could go up. Because a lot of people don't realize that your credit score need to be high in order for you to get a house easily without paying so much money. Different stuff for your business, and just people could just trust you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and once you pay that off, then it'd be all easy. Cause I don't like the fact that when people do go to school and they finish and they get this great job, they don't pay attention to the things they have to, pay off. You ain't gotta say pay off right away, but at least pay it to a point where you get so used to it get paid off quicker than 5 to 10, 20, 30 years and stuff like that. Because, as long as you don't pay that loan, the percentage is gonna go up. You know what I'm saying? So I always had that advice for people who just made all this money. Cause I know when I already know what I'm gonna do with it. I'm gonna pay off and invest. And that's one of the smart things to do.
Precisely.
So, how was the experience in upstate New York?
The toughest thing was adjusting to the climate. Being a Miami boy.
It was cold up there.
The cold is not even the worst part. It's brutal. It's brutal, but it's the lack of sun.
Oh, okay.
And upstate New York is actually the cloudiest section of the United States. Cloudier than Alaska, cloudier than North Dakota, cloudier than Minnesota. So I think the average sun was something like 70 days out of the year was sunny, but those were all summer. So we weren't in school. So anytime that we got up there, the weather went down right away, and then it was just no sun. So when you're in the middle of January and it's negative 30 outside, and you got to put on 4 layers, and then on top of that, the sun rises at 10 a.m. and then sets at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Then you're just fucked. Yeah. So I got mad depressed out there. But I did. The nice thing about being out there, no big cities. It was 5 hours to New York City anytime we wanted to go. So art. I had a nice studio. I had the benefit of finding a really nice landlord off the campus. Opened up a project space there called the Plush Factory. And we called it that because it was an old plush factory that used to make the lining for chairs. Yeah. They had a contract with Ford to do all of the plush for their Model Ts. They used to do the plush and lining for coffins. So it was a really lucrative business, and it employed thousands of people, and they had huge factories and had all these dormitories for the employees, and it paid really, really well. And that was the last building that was intact. It was the Walmart of this industrial city. It was the spot where you go to get your meat, get your shoes, whatever. Anything you needed, you got it there. So it was really good condition. The landlord gave us a few thousand square feet, and me and my partner at the time, him and I, just went balls to the walls, big as we could. He was a sculptor, and I was the graffiti artist. So anytime he would fabricate something, I'd come, I'd put a little paint on it, and he was sort of the crazy genius of the two of us, always trying to come up with something crazy. We had this foghorn that came off of a Japanese whaling ship. And so this thing must have been 70, 80 years old, and it was telescopic. So you'd open it up, it's 3 feet long, and you'd crank it, and it had a sound radius of 4 miles. So if you put it all the way up and you press it, it would be deafening. Yeah. So we would make weird sculptures out of that kind of stuff. So being up in New York alone and with other serious artists, and the fact that the school was private, so it had a lot of money to give to artists to experiment, allowed me to really grow and to develop my own style, and most importantly, build that diligence. Because it's all about compliance as a self-employed artist. Whether or not you make art every day is irrelevant, but you better show up to the studio. Even if it's just to sweep the floor, take out the trash. You need to be in the studio daily. And so being in upstate taught me that no matter what is going on, for my mental health, obviously now for my financial well-being, it's imperative that I hit the studio daily. And that's probably the biggest advice I give to anyone who's serious about anything. Doesn't matter if you're selling zippers door to door, or you're a welder, or you're a self-produced artist trying to go independent. You got to go to the studio, whatever that means to you, to your office every day. You got to have a compliant schedule that you stick to and that you live by.
That's what's up, man. That's really a great advice for up and coming artists, because you know